Anyway, let's go with it, right? So, hi, Seyi.
Nice to meet you.
Hi, I'm Sally Chiwuzie. Hello, hi, guys. Owner and founder of the brand Unshakable. You know the motto. Unshakable is a state of mind. Take your state of mind with you everywhere you go. Be unshakable. Be in truth with yourself. Love yourself. Thank you for joining us on another episode of Chronicles of Unshakable Truth. Today, I have something truly special for you. I'm here with Unshakable Seyi, and we shall get started. As usual, you know me, I like an adventure. This is totally unscripted. We have literally invaded Seyi's home in sunny Regent Park, Camden.
Yes.
And so let's take it away, Seyi.
Pleasure to meet you. And thank you for getting in contact through our friend Nkechi. And, I was like, wow, I'm going to do this and I'm going to enjoy it.
Of course
do you
you
know
are.
what I mean? And, but you tell me, what's unshakable? Why the term unshakable?
Unshakable is a state of mind.
Right.
So unshakable encapsulates everything about a unique individual's journey. So it's personal, actually. Anybody can be unshakable if they choose to use the word. I suppose it means different things to different people. So for me, I think it's about self-love. I'm a huge love enthusiast. So everything I do is centered around, love and seeing the good in things. It's about resilience and strength, because I think for a lot of that it's my story, it's my background, it's my journey. It's about uniqueness, and it's about embracing your quirks. So
Yes.
This is how I've found you. Actually, I had a look at your pages, your music, your vibe.
Thank you.
Totally unshakable.
Right.
So I thought I would ask you about that. And and we have an audience, by the way. I know you can't see them, but guys, please feel free to chip in if you think there's anything more that Seyi can add that he hasn't, or if you need me to clarify. Yeah.
The reason why I asked it was because, that term unshakable, and in the humility of things, I'm like, am I really unshakable?
Of course you are.
Well, when we're in it, when we're in that difficulty, it's like, gosh, they don't see the tears. People don't see the tears. They don't see the panic. They don't see the desolation. Do you know what I mean? And they don't see the self-loathing, some of my friends, like Roy here, he would testify to some messages that he's received in the middle of the night, of safe hate. Do you know what I mean? And anger and anguish. And then also, just like you were saying, embrace the quirks from afar, or, like on social media, one could appear as unshakable, but they don't get to see, the tears that in the bedroom. They don't get to see, me waking up and in total desolation and, looking at the wheelchair, for instance, and saying, what's going on? Maybe from a dream. I used to have dreams like, wow, I'm walking again. I'm doing this and doing that. So I was smiling in the dream. And then as I'm beginning to wake up, then it dawns on me, I'm in a hospital bed in my bedroom, and it's been like 3-4 years, and the wheelchair is there, and I'm waiting for the carers to come to wash me. Do you know what I mean? So, that could
Okay.
be, yeah.
So on that basis, do you mind if we go all the way back to the beginning? Because
Okay.
we started somewhere in the middle, right?
Yes.
So what's this story about the wheelchair?
Okay. So about in 2016, in 2013, I went to do a master's program. It was well into my 40s, and I said, look, I want to go back and study. So I studied, music and African studies, West African history, postgraduate. And just as I was just on the cusp of, deciding if I'm going to do a doctorate, I just had some pain in the back.
In your back?
Yeah, in my back. Pain. It was excruciating pain in the back. And through, years back, there's been a little bit of, back pain, and I just go into the gym and just, do a bit of deadlifts, do exercise, and it dissipate. But this one wasn't going anywhere. And I remember going once to the gym and coming out, and it got so painful that I started walking at 90 degrees, and the pain, until one day in the bedroom, I just collapsed on the bed. And so I had to call the
Emergency.
called the doctors and all of that, and they just couldn't find anything wrong. The blood pressure was all right. She just couldn't find anything wrong, and that just went on for like 3-4 months. So they would come and go. By that time I was flat.
So you get relief after a while.
Oh yes, but it's like the first few days of pain were just excruciating. It's just like you feel it. You feel it 1 second. You feel it 24 hours. So you sleep, you wake up, and then even to go and get food, it was I had to think like for an hour. How am I going to get up to get to get food? Do you know what I mean? And I was losing weight. Yeah, I was really losing weight and just just damage. But before then, there'd been some history of depression. Do you know what I mean? There'd been some history of depression, and so the only thing I could, if I try to correlate things, was I suffered like 2 weeks of depression just before this thing came about. So it seems as if it was within that low state of thinking, or that it could manifest.
So you think your mental health may be manifested in the physical, because that happens actually.
Yes. I think it was just whatever was coming, whatever came, however it came, it manifested that time, and so the pain, and so I started taking it put me on tramadol and all of that, but we didn't know what was wrong, and sometimes I would have to go to various hospitals, specialists. So I was going to skeletal hospitals and muscular hospitals, and they were trying to diagnose. They couldn't find anything. They were just until I it was St. Charles Hospital in Lavelle Grove that a neurologist said we're going to have this test, and tested me with some pins and everything, and he made a referral, and that's when I got referred to Charing Cross Hospital after 4 months in the room. So they brought a commode, because my flat is split level, so I couldn't get down the stairs to the shower room. So they brought a commode, and it was just incredible change of life. We're just coming out of summer then, so I'll look out the window and you see people walking, and I'm stuck in a room. And so that's how.
Plus, you were also very active, because you talked about going to the gym.
Yes.
So it's actually
it was just like it was confusion. I used to wake up around 3 o'clock in the morning, because I went to the gym that's open 24 hours, and it's a big gym, and you have the whole of the gym, and I like supersetting, so changing from one exercise to another. Do you know what I mean? And not too heavy weights, but like 30 to 50 reps. And I just like that to get the stamina right. Do you know what I mean? Get the stamina right. And then all of a sudden I couldn't go anywhere. I was just in the room, and everything just came crashing down. Like, I was a touring musician before I went to university, so it seems as if they had forgotten about me when I was at university, those 4 years. So this was just a further, distance from the general public I used to entertain or go out, and so that's how that started.
And so you enjoyed that. So it took away your music, it took away your gym life, it took away
everything. The lady I was with at the time got to, and everybody got to take responsibility. So I would take my responsibility and say, I contributed to her, leaving the relationship. So I was just alone, and with carers that would come twice a day, and whatever friends who would come to see me. I didn't have a lot of friends coming to see me at the time. I was, so there were not that many who.
Why do you think you kind of distance yourself from them, or?
I think I was out a lot. So and as you grow older, there's about 3 or 5 friends that you have that come to visit. So it wasn't like people were coming. So I still relied on those 3 to 5 friends, so to speak. And then the other one that will find out about me on Facebook and say, I insist on coming to see me. So apart from that, I was alone. Carers, I wasn't even in a state to talk to anybody. I wasn't in the States. I was in hospital for 7 months. Yes, I was in hospital for 7 months. And
what was the official diagnosis in the end, or at this point they were still researching?
Yes, they were still researching, and they haven't really got it, because first of all, they haven't really got it, because first of all, they came up with neuromyelitis optica. which is some kind of weird kind of illness that affects the eyes and causes
The
blindness,
eyes.
and affects the spinal. So we're
Or you
worried.
could see
I could
perfectly.
see, but they were beginning to warn me that this might happen or that might
Oh
happen.
gosh.
Do you know what I mean? So there's that
The doom
fear.
and gloom.
Yeah, it was like three years afterwards. His dad, Nosa Obagbana, took me to Oxford to a specialist, and they did all the tests and said, no, it's not that. It's not that. And but it's under a group of illnesses called transverse mellitus, which is inflammation of the spinal cord. So so say this is a spinal cord, the sheath that covers the spinal cord is inflamed. And so all the nerves where it's inflamed from T2 downwards are compromised. And so that means the whole of the system. So it affected not just walking, but the digestive, the endocrine. I couldn't even poo right. Do you know what I mean? So it was just incredible. It was just horrible. I was in hospital for 7 months and came back home. So I had to sort of adapt the home that I was living in, and so that carers can come and live with me or come and take care of me, and So there was that, and just basically, it's a first floor flat, so I couldn't get down the stairs, and so it's just prison.
Gosh.
So in the hospital, like the last hospital I was in was Queen Square Hospital, which is in the city. It had a big park. So I would go out there in the summer. So you know what I mean? And I would enjoy the summer and come back, to sleep or whatever, to treatment and physiotherapy. And then now it was coming into November. I got back into my flat and the winter starts. And I'm in this room because the larger part of my flat was rented out. So I had a studio behind. I was in this room and gosh. Yeah.
What was your state of mind?
Oh,
I mean,
my
your
gosh
says it all, but
Yes.
let's put that into words.
You have moments of hope.
Okay.
And I'm a man of faith, so I believed that I'll, conquer this. And there are little things that show that that
Flickers.
they're flickers. Yes. So the first thing was the flicker of the left foot. So there was some
activity. I like that's what you were going to say, right?
Some activity in the left foot, the toes of the left foot. They would gather and say there's still something there for us to work. And then just different things. Because the first thing I was asking myself, like, what am I going to do in life? As in, I want to work, I want to live. What am I going to do? And I just quite had not known what I would do. Do you know what I mean? It was just like living in this flat, in this studio, and I don't know what to do. There's no hope of a companion because I wasn't even. I didn't want anybody. I couldn't.
But not in the right state. You didn't have much to bring.
Yes, to the table, so to speak. And then the saving grace was what I went to study. That was what that was the only thing. Because what else could I? What else? And I got my books out. Yes, I got my music books out. I got my African history out. I got my African culture out, and I started to go through my notes. I started to order some books. I'd always read Wilbur Smith. Wilbur Smith. Oh, right. Yes. So he's got about 45. He's late now. Passed away a few years ago. 45 books out, and he's a Caucasian that writes about Africa so well, and that's why I coined Afropean culture.
Afropean. I actually really, really like that.
Yes. Afropean culture.
Afropean
yes, that's why I coined it, from like authentic African and elaborate European, technique, and that's where I sort of said, all right, there's a culture here, and you're in the moments where you can write anything, you can say anything, you can feel anything, because you know what I mean. So you come out with things that you wouldn't have the confidence to normally, and I started to write about Afropean culture. I started to study about that merge.
And was this guy in particular, him? Have you singled him out?
Who, Wilbur Smith?
Yeah.
No, he prompted it as I would say, if I was to give a lecture about Afropean culture, I would say he's one of the authors, even though he didn't know about it, because he was just writing African adventure, and he does, historical African adventure. But for me, it was, I could blend it with my studies.
Did you know about him before?
Of course, I've known about him from when I was, my 20s, 30s. His first book came out in 1974.
Okay, so what made you pick up at that point that you're talking about? Because that point, it sounds like you were quite low in spirit. So you said you distanced, yourself from relationships, and you're alone, and then you picked up his book, him specifically. So you were looking for something.
When I went back to my studies, and he just kind of replenished whatever I was feeling. So the studies are like the structural academics, but his books were entertainment.
Okay.
But I could understand a bit more the plights of the South Africans, for instance, during apartheid, or how he writes about Africa, the Kenyans, before they gained independence. And so, yes, so
it stimulated your spirit.
Of course, yeah, you got it. Yes,
so.
Yes,
So do you know why I ask you that? Because in everything, when I think about situations,
you're very beautiful, You're supposed to say thank you.
I blush first.
All right. Especially when you're closer to, but go on anyway.
Thank you. Gosh, I've lost my train of thought now.
No.
Okay, so
spirits. You say spirits, have you?
So basically, when I think about moments such as what you've just described, I find that a lot of people, including myself, in these moments, that God always sends an angel. And that's why I was asking you about this guy.
Okay.
Do you see what I mean?
Yes,
so
yes.
I'm trying to find.
Well, he was an intellectual angel, shall we say? But we'll come to a physical. We'll come to a physical angel.
Okay.
As we go.
So that was the beginning. So so that was the beginning of you finding your spirit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yes. And then I have a following on Facebook. I call them my 5,000, and they're there.
5,001.
Yes. Okay. 5. You're amongst them now, so you're including 5,000.
Yeah.
And they are so. I use them in such a way that they don't understand. Sometimes I go on Facebook and I can just go through and there's a song there. They don't know this. They're giving me the lyrics for a song. They're just giving me a song there, or there's something about culture that I can learn from just what's going on Facebook. So I had that audience that I was communicating with.
I love that.
Yes, communicating with, and they were following my story. So do you know what I mean? And there's a photo of Facebook of me with my books in this room in the studio, and just with my books. I'm very proud of that photo because it takes me back to that time. Do you know what I mean? Where it was laid bare, and I only had my books, I only had my studies and my music, and so we went deeper into Afropean culture. Yes. And
you took the followers on a journey.
Yes, I took the followers on a journey. Yeah, I took my 5,000.
love this. Let me tell you what I love about this. Sorry.
Go on.
This guy's crazy. So, you know how people always say, oh, social media does this terrible thing to people. It's bad for the Gen Zs and it's bad for us. And we all, blah, blah, blah. So I love it when somebody actually comes and brings something positive.
Yeah.
Because there's so many people who I met on social media who then became my friends. My sister, and I think sometimes we fail to recognize that. So I'm really intrigued by what you've just said.
I don't know how I would have gone through those years without Facebook. I'm just being honest. Because
I love it.
Yes, I'll come there on a day, and so everybody knew what was going on. So I was first of all ashamed of that. I tell you,
Initially.
Because prior to that, I was the. Oh gosh, flamboyant style. Do you know what I mean? Dance.
We can see it, can't we?
Do you know what I mean? I was like, expression explosion. Do you know what I mean? We transfer in transcendence. Come to us, and then now I'm on a wheelchair and putting on weight and just in the doldrums, if I've pronounced it properly. But they helped me. We could, messages, and from time to time, one or two would pop out and want to come and visit, wherever I am, and so that helped. The 5,000 helped, and I'm grateful to them because we're on this journey, and we'll come to them afterwards. So where were we just now? We're talking about the pain and the writing, and yes. So it was during those years that helped. I had something to come back to. So the Unshakable term it's not just by meal. You look for things that make you happy, that make you smile, and that inspire you. I really needed that inspiration to live. You know, it was then that I knew that I had to give something. And probably if I hadn't had this illness, when would I have taken the time out to compose music, write music?
So you started composing music then, or you had, because you said you'd been touring before.
Yes. So I was a touring musician, and I released a number of singles, and they were hits in the house world, in house music. Well, they're hits, they did very well. I introduced Pidgin English to house music. So we have Afro house, but it was more South African, and so I introduced Pidgin English
So you
and
can
Yoruba.
sing.
Yes, but I have to train the voice, but it was more chanting, right? So I'll play some of
Here
my
I
music.
was thinking you were going to sing.
Yeah, but I'll play some of my music and I'll sing along to it. Yes, for you.
Yes.
All right. Anyway, and so I was a touring musician, just releasing singles, just releasing singles. But it's then that I decided that that's not enough. I want an album or albums. I want to cultivate the ability to pick any star, like a Tiwa Savage or a or anybody, and say, you know what, come into my studio and I can record you. I can give me about 3 weeks to 2 months, and I'll give you an album. And so I made contacts with some band members, some musicians that I had played with in Nigeria. And the thing about Nigerian musicians are they're talented, they're skilled, but it's just that opportunity. Do you know what I mean? Just the talent, and they play. They sometimes, the way they play the music is they don't have to. They write it, but they can feel it and embellish upon it. I needed that flavor.
Is Tiwa, by the way, is she your favorite? Because you singled her out, Tiwa Savage.
Oh, she's quite cute, isn't she?
She is. She's all right,
Yeah, but she's quite cute. But the way I see it is, I think there's some enhancement that can affect her music. She hasn't really. Her stardom will begin again. Will manifest again if I take her into the studio and record a few albums. Do you know what I mean? I feel that there's so many advancements in the Afropean world that they don't even know about. So anyway,
someone forward this to Tiwa Savage, please.
but there are others. There are others, and they'll come. Yeah. And then so it's then I said, okay, I want to write an album, and so I made contact with a few musicians, Wura Samba, who's another African percussionist, Mr. Sunero, who's a brilliant producer.
Do you like Johnny Drill? Do you know?
I've heard of him. I've seen his music, yes. And so I had those two, and then I was introduced to Okwe on horn section. So I had it. I had the basis to make my music.
What's your favorite instrument?
It's the drums, of course, the conga drums.
Yeah?
Yes, okay. the conga drums.
Yeah, and you're going to give us a huge section on that, right?
Yes, we will go to that. We'll come to that. Okay. Yes, and we'll come to it now. For me, the drums are the ability to speak in an ancestral sound, and the ability to communicate, and the ability for the audience to hear the sound and know what I'm going to do, know what I'm going to play. And when they come and they have that divination of sound that I play, when they go away for a few days, they still hear the sound, they still hear the drum beats. So that's how the drums represent to me. It's not just the bo 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 sound.
No,
for instance, like these cowbells, you get the cowbells, but we wanted to get them to talk. We want the instruments to talk, that sound to talk from ancestral times. And so that's it.
I love that, by the way. It gave me like, I don't even know what to, palpitations. Yeah. Like palpitations. Yes.
I'll play a track for you afterwards where you can hear it speak. I like to take like that, when you're listening to the music, you go on a journey.
It did, yeah. So my heartbeat, he was literally beating up not beating up, I don't know.